Question. Hello, Kim. Lately I've been thinking about a line from the film Gandhi. During a lecture, Gandhi says something like, "There are causes for which I am prepared to die. There are no causes for which I am prepared to kill." I remember that movie. It gave me goosebumps when he that line in the movie. So the person is asking, would a person who is on a serious spiritual path consider it morally acceptable to kill in self-defense? I own a firearm for self-defense. Is that a mistake? Would it be better to risk death rather than kill someone? I've touched upon this a little bit before because it's an eternal question, philosophical question, the question of self-defense. But let's just be clear about something. Gandhi said, there are causes for which I am prepared to die. There is no cause from which I am prepared to kill. So we're talking about causes, like in defending democracy or spreading communism or spreading the Christian religion or something like that. This is a cause, right? And I have a whole series of ego discourses where I'm talking about ego dramas. And one of the things I'm talking about in there is the epic dramas that the ego creates. So the typical epic drama is that it is of epic importance to God's cause that everybody becomes converted to this one religion. And it's justified to kill others to eradicate other religions so that this religion can be the only true one, because that's the only way people can be saved. The ends can justify the means. It's necessary to do evil that good may come. So these are the kind of causes that Gandhi was talking about in the movie, and you can see it in his life. What Gandhi hadn't understood is that even him being willing to die for a cause is not the highest view, because if it's an epic cause defined by the fallen beings, dying for that cause doesn't do any good. Doesn't do you any good, doesn't help your growth, doesn't raise the collective consciousness. So I would say there are no causes for which I am prepared to kill, and there are no causes for which I'm prepared to die. But that, of course, so I think it's important to make that distinction, because self-defense is not a cause, right? We're not defining a cause here. We are just looking at the practical reality of life on Earth, which currently is very chaotic, very turbulent, a lot of disturbed people, a lot of criminals who are willing to kill for a buck, basically. And so the question there is a whole different scenario. And the way I would say it is that there is no general answer to the question, because it's so individual. What is your karma? What is your life plan? Right? So we have Jesus. Sets an example for the 2,000 years of the Piscean Age. He is letting himself be arrested and killed. But Jesus was in his last embodiment. And everything in his last embodiment revolved around him qualifying for his ascension. And when you're in your last embodiment, it is absolutely essential that you don't create any karmic spirals with other people, that you don't reinforce any karmic spirals you have. And that means you have to turn the other cheek to everything. Seriously. You turn the other cheek to everything. But there can be people, it's not their last embodiment. You have, as part of your life plan, to do something, but now you are facing a very temporary situation where somebody else has gone crazy, done something, it's not your karma. They are using their free will to do something, threaten you in a way that it's not your karma from past lives that you deserve to be threatened by this person. And you have a life plan to live on. Is it justified to defend yourself? And in many cases, yes, it is. So you see, there is no universal answer to it. But another thing you need to take into consideration is, would a person who is on a serious spiritual path consider it morally acceptable to kill in self-defense? And as I said, in some cases, yes, it could be. It could also be a question of defending other people who are about to be killed by some criminal or whatever, where you could say that by killing one person you are saving the lives of 10 people, for example. So you could consider that morally defensible. And then the person says, I own a firearm for self-defense. Is that a mistake? Would it be better to risk death rather than kill someone? And as I said, if it's your last embodiment, it would be better to be completely non-violent. But it may not be your last embodiment, therefore, individually it could be acceptable. But here's another consideration. I have said in many videos that the universe is like a cosmic mirror. What comes back to you from the world is what you project out. So, if you own a firearm for self-defense, what is the subconscious message you are projecting into the universe? Again, this is individual. You could say there's some person, he's just being practical. Okay, I've got fire insurance on my house. I don't expect my house to burn down, but I just have it just in case. So my gun is just insurance. I don't expect to ever need it. But I can also be a person who is projecting a subconscious image that he's very afraid of being attacked. And he thinks that somebody might come and attack his home or steal his home. And he's literally projecting this as a reality and therefore attracting it to him. So in other words, by having a firearm, by having a certain attitude, you could literally be bringing about a situation where you would have to use it. Not saying it always happens, but I'm saying you can have one person who is, yeah, it's just insurance, another person, they're projecting this image. I live in a hostile universe, everybody's out to get me. Right? But there can be a person who says, well, I live in a violent society, there is gun crime, there is crime, so better to have the insurance and not need it. You know, it's complicated. Karma is complicated. Personally, I would, yeah, it's hard for me to say. I mean, I live in Denmark, which I don't feel the need to have a firearm for self-defense. I lived in the United States for 22 years. I didn't feel the need to have a firearm for self-defense. In fact, I lived in rural America, which back then people didn't lock their doors. I don't know what they do today. So I didn't feel I was living in a violent society. But if I had lived in Los Angeles, I might have felt very differently. So it is very individual. But definitely I would say, very carefully consider if there is any kind of subconscious message you are projecting because you have a firearm. What are your images associated with it? What are your fears? And it would be wise to get to a point where you don't have any fears, but you just say, okay, I got a gun just in case. And then let it be at that. So if you were looking for a yes or no black and white answer, then obviously you didn't get that, but hopefully it's helpful to consider these different perspectives.